There it is, folks. The 2024 NFL Draft is officially over. It's been a couple of days. I wanted to go ahead and take my time before I jumped in front of a camera and talked about how well or how bad I feel the New York Jets did in this year's draft. It's been plenty of time. I had to do some research in terms of some of the individuals because I wasn't too keen on some of our later round draft picks, but I've educated myself. I've got something I want to share with you guys, and I kind of want to present my overall NFL draft grades for the New York Jets. As you can see, I'm wearing all black. I think it's because I feel like this is the appropriate attire to be wearing to finally RIP this playoff drought the New York Jets have been on. The New York Jets have had an incredible offseason. I think this draft was the cherry on top. We're going to talk about it.
I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you what a loss? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man. I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you what a loss? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man.
Congratulations, brother.
And here so in round one, I've already talked about it. You've already seen the video. We picked up Olu Fashanu, one of my favorite picks in this draft. But I think I wanted to kind of go into more detail as to why I felt it was the right move. Olu Fashanu was the pick at round one, pick 11, after Joe Douglas was able to go ahead and trade back. Some individuals were upset about it. They wanted a weapon. And although I understood that thought process and that concept when it came to a guy like a Roma Dunze, a Malik Neighbors, or an MHJ, it makes all the sense in the world that Joe Douglas did what he did. I think what he wound up doing was doing the smart thing. Picking up Olu Fashanu, offensive tackle from Penn State. You're talking about a guy who's an exceptional athlete and probably one of the better technicians in this particular draft class. Now, he's not perfect, but without question, he was the best pass blocking offensive tackle in this class. Our quarterback is Aaron Rodgers. So that in itself to me has a lot of value. When you look at Olu Fashanu, you see an individual with, I'll say it again, man, exceptional athleticism. He has great foot speed for his size. I think he has elite power capacity. He's got natural leverage when it comes to his engagement, and I think that he has an excellent balance. Excellent balance and feel in pass protection. Now, when it comes to his weaknesses, though, he does need to improve in his run blocking. And a lot of that is not because he's not putting in the effort for it, or as some are saying, it's because of his hand size, right? A lot of it seems to me like it's just like a movement fluidity. He doesn't seem very fluid getting into his run blocking sets, and oftentimes he gets beat on that, or he doesn't get there quick enough to go ahead and open up those lanes. I think with proper coaching, you can see a guy who's this dedicated to the sport and wanting to get better, actually get better. I love Olu Fashanu, man. I think this pick was the smart pick to make because this is a kid who has proven that he is disciplined on so many levels. He said as much when he actually did his opening presser about how his parents raised him on the fundations of love, discipline, and integrity, I believe was the other one, but discipline really stood out for him. This is a kid who went back to college last year to pursue his master's degree when he had the opportunity to go into the draft last year as a top 10, top 15 pick. He was going to go in the very similar scenario last year had he jumped into the draft. So I love his discipline, man. I love the kid's character, high IQ guy. Yes, the run blocking is a concern. Yes, he's not going to start for the New York Jets. Although you have to admit, if you watch his presser, you love the fact that he's open to the idea of starting and playing wherever he needs to be, wherever he needs to help the team win. That's something a kid you look at and you realize he may not be the left tackle for the Jets now, but he is the left tackle of the future. Tyron Smith is only on a 1-year contract. We're looking at Aaron Rodgers wanting to play for another year or two, maybe 3. Keeping that man upright, it should be the primary focus. Joe D felt that way. He went this route. I give the Olu pick an A. I guess when you couple it with the trade back to gain more assets and come off the board with the best pass blocking O lineman in this draft, it's hard to complain about it. I would have given it an A plus, if he had somehow accumulated a higher range of picks for the move back. But again, he moved back from 10 to 11. Really can't argue. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of the Olu Fashanu pick. I think this is going to be a kid who is our starting left tackle for years to come. And at worst, his NFL floor is being an above average freaking left tackle. And you can't really put a price on that. So then in the second round, as we all know, the Jets didn't have a draft pick. But we did wind up picking in round 3. And let me tell you, in round 3, when I saw this man dropping, I actually jumped on social media and said a quick prayer, asking God to allow this man to drop a little bit more because in all actuality, he shouldn't have been there. But in the third round, the Jets trade up and they get a weaponized playmaker. I'm talking about freaking Malachi Corley, wide receiver from Western Kentucky. Listen, I get chills talking about this kid because he shouldn't have been there. Malachi Corley should not have been available to us in the second round or in the third round. This was a kid without question that was late first, second round talent. You won't look anywhere and find a mock draft where this kid falls to the third round to the Jets. So the fact that he fell to the third, coach or JD saw that he fell and decided to go ahead and move up and go get his guy. I mean, I can't put it into words, man. The kid brings a mix of speed, reliable hands. He's got the focused violence. When you look at how he plays, man, he's just a mean, angry, but focused runner. He attacks the ball and he attacks anyone in his way when he's trying to go ahead and get into the end zone. I love Malachi Corley. Who is also notoriously known as the Yak King. Listen, his yak ability makes him a valuable ad for Aaron Rodgers in our passing attack. We wanted a weapon. Joe D got a weapon that we had no business getting in the third. We got him. And for that, I look at this kid and you look at his frame. Real strong frame. He's got good hands. Elite. I'm talking elite run after the catch ability with a very physical, punishing playing style. That also kind of gives you like a reckless abandon type of folk. When you look at him, you're thinking to yourself, this dude doesn't even care about himself, let alone anybody else that he's pounding through trying to go ahead and get extra yardage. He's built different, man. This is a kid who's a football player through and through. Cornerbacks are going to hate to have to tackle Corley. But with that said, he does have some weaknesses. When you look at him, he looks as if like his muscular, compact build makes him very stiff. Like he's tight in his core. His route running is gonna need some refinement. He's gonna have to work on being able to, I don't know, I guess being more fluid in his change of direction at the top of his routes. He's got some work to do, but this is a day one starter in my opinion. I think he's going to be a day one starter in the slot for the Jets. I love this pick, and I don't know if people know this, but a fun fact for you: over the last 2 years in the FBS, there's the top 4 wide receivers in receiving yards are Neighbors, Adunze, MHJ, and you guessed it, Corley, aka the Yak King. I gotta give this one an A plus. Absolutely love this pick. He wasn't supposed to be there, but he fell to us, and he will be a day one contributor for Aaron Rodgers. A plus pick. But now it gets weird. We start trading back. Not once, not twice, but 3 times we trade back. JD winds up recouping a third round pick for next year with one of our fourths. I'm not gonna lie to you, this really bugged me. I felt those fourth round picks brought a lot of value in terms of the quality of options we had at this stage in this draft. We had some quality interior offensive linemen available, and honestly, some quality wide receivers on the table still that we could have picked up and really rounded out those 2 rooms. So it bugs me a bit, but I digress. We finally get to pick 134 in the 4th, and the Jets do right by Aaron Rodgers again, and this time they add a little bit of depth. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. They select Braylon Allen, running back from Wisconsin. I wasn't expecting that. I really wasn't expecting a premium pick on a running back, and to me, a 4th rounder is considered a premium pick. They went that route, and listen, man, this kid is built like a freaking action figure. Allen's power running style is ability to break tackles could provide a boost to this Jets ground game. I had to go back and actually watch more tape on the running backs because I didn't really focus that much on guys who would be going prior to round 6. So I've got some later round guys that I've watched. So I went back to watch more of B. Allen's tape. And this is a big back, man. A big dude with long speed. He's very explosive and he's powerful. Excellent at plant and go on zone runs. Good peripheral vision. He can see the field very well. Like for cutback lanes, I just love the kid, man. 6'1", 230 pounds. He brings a dynamic to this running back room that we didn't have. We didn't have it. He brings it, but he's not perfect. So with that, he's not quite as sudden when it comes to like his stop and go, right? Stop and start ability. He needs work there. Um, he wasn't asked to run a lot of routes, I guess, but the few routes he was asked to run, you can tell it needs refinement. This is a guy who's going to go ahead and need to work on his route running tree, on his route running tree. He needs to go ahead and get a little more crisper again. A bigger guy, so a lot of times you'll see some of the stiffness kind of pop up. Just a very, very muscular kid, man. So like the stop and go thing makes sense for being as big as he is, but even though I wasn't big on us going running back, I really wanted to go interior offensive lineman or wide receiver. Um, B. Allen has definitely grown on me a lot. This kid is only 20 years old. He was the youngest player in the draft, and now he's the youngest player in the NFL. This is a kid who was producing at Wisconsin at the age of 17. We have our Thunder to Brees's lightning in this kid. This is going to be a great 1-2 punch. Now, I still give this a B, but not because Allen isn't good. I like the player. He's grown on me quite a bit, but there were some wide receivers and interior O linemen on the board that could have rounded out both of those rooms, and I can't keep saying that enough. How much I think there's more value to that than a running back. But again, if you're talking about being able to take Brees off the field and still be relevant in the run game, I think B. Allen brings you that ability as he continues to grow in the game. But for me, I was really keen on guys like Mahogany. Brendan Rice was out there. At this point, I do believe freaking Troy Franklin was gone. There were a couple of guys it just made more sense to me, but I digress. It is what it is. We're going to move on. I gave that one a B. We go to round 5. We're at pick 171. And listen, the Jets choose Jordan freaking Travis. We're talking about a quarterback from Florida State who's a dual threat QB, known for his mobility and playmaking ability, man, offering potential long-term upside at the quarterback position. I love this pick. JT was so valuable to college football. When he went down with his broken, I think it was an ankle, Florida State was ranked 3rd in the nation at the time when he went down. Undefeated season. They had one more game to go. Excuse me. And they won that one more game. The team rallied and they won the game. The committee still chose not to allow Florida State into the playoffs because they did not have Jordan Travis, aka JT. That's how valuable this kid was to this freaking Florida State, for this freaking program. Excuse me, maybe you didn't hear it. JT would have gone, in my opinion, in the 2nd round this year had he finished the season healthy. With how the draft actually turned out, it wouldn't have shocked me at all if he was a late 1st rounder. I mean, when it comes to him, man, some of the things he does well, he's got an above average line drive thrower. He's got good to great quickness and escapability. I think he has an ability to create outside of the pocket. The guy's a playmaker, man. Like he has an ability to go ahead and just create plays, make things happen. That's what has earned him pretty much everything he's gotten at this level, right? To get to this point now, to be on an NFL roster. And you gotta love that. Now, he's not perfect. Notice I didn't tell you that he was a mid to early 1st round guy. Didn't tell you that. he's got some weaknesses, and they kind of fall into some important spaces, such as his throwing mechanics are going to need work at the next level. He's going to have to get stronger, right? I think his core, you saw sometimes he kind of lost power on some of his throws, and they would sell. He tends to struggle a bit with ball control. His anticipation and pocket presence, it almost seems like it doesn't exist, which is kind of concerning for the quarterback position. I would say at the very least you would describe it as mid. So there's some concerns for him, and this is why you draft him at this spot. He gets to sit behind Aaron Rodgers and Tyrod Taylor. He gets to learn the game of football from two of the professionals that have done it at a high level. Aaron Rodgers has done it at an elite level as a starting quarterback. And Tyrod Taylor, I would say, is one of the better backup quarterbacks in the NFL. So two individuals that play the same position that do it well at their respective slots when it comes to the depth chart. That's great tutelage to be sitting behind and learning from those guys. I think you couldn't ask for any better mentors for him. I like the fact that he's going to have the ability to learn from those two guys to get better. And maybe, just maybe, I don't know. Can he be our Dak Prescott? Can he be our Kirk Cousins? Hey, maybe he can be our Brock Purdy. I don't know. And as such, I'm gonna give this one a B plus. I give it a B plus because of those maybes, right? This is again a guy who competed against top talent. This is a guy who had his team winning games. One thing I didn't mention is how much he's valued as a leader of men, and that goes a long way. So I'm gonna give it a B plus. I wanted Jordan Travis. I drafted him a lot higher in each one of my mock drafts. The fact that we even had him here at this spot is, in my opinion, great value. Again, who knows? What if he becomes Brock Purdy? What if he becomes Brock Purdy? So then we're going to go to the second pick we have in the fifth round, and I believe that was pick 173. Okay, so this is where I feel like the Jets kind of said, F it. Like, in my opinion, this is the worst pick of the draft. Jody used our second fifth round pick to select Isaiah Davis, running back from a smaller school. I think it's South Dakota State, if I'm not mistaken. I Okay, the kid has good size. I get that. He's agile, very effective between the tackles. He's got really exceptional ball security. He doesn't fumble the ball often. He's got elite vision. I would say advanced vision and patience. Like he kind of reminds you a little bit of an Arian Foster in terms of how patient he is and trying to follow behind his blocks. Not a very fast guy, right? In terms of short area quickness, but like a long strider type. He reminds me of Arian Foster watching some of his tape. But when you look at him, he does lack really no long speed, and he tends to bounce runs outside. He kind of needs some refinement in his pass protection, and he's not explosive. He's not an explosive guy. And I know he racked up a lot of yardage, in the college level, but it was against a lot of smaller schools. I don't know what JD was thinking with this one because of the fact that there were guys like Mahogany and Brendan Rice still on the board. Two guys that I really, really was hoping he would have made a decision to bring into the building that again could have bolstered those rooms, right? I think you double dip. I don't know how you don't take a chance to double dip at the wide receiver or O lineman position in this draft class. It just seems so obvious to me. Instead, we get Davis. And look, he's a Jet. I will not, I'm going to root for him. I will not bash him as a Jet. You know what I'm saying? Now, if he doesn't perform well, if he's costing us plays, he's fumbling the ball, I'm going to say something, obviously, because I'm a Jets fan. But I'm going to root for him because he is a Jet. It's something I don't like the kid. It's a good kid. I can see, why we give him the option. But we had just gotten the running back in B. Allen, and then to go quarterback and then right back to running back again and again. This guy, I give this pick a D. I give it a D. I can't get behind it. I don't understand the two running backs in this class when you could have got two at wide receiver, which would have made so much more sense in terms of the quality of player you would receive, and then two, of course, for interior offensive linemen. I don't get it. I don't get it, and for that, I give it a D. I wasn't a fan of this pick. Maybe I'm by myself on an island. I've noticed some individuals like Dom talk highly of this kid, But I think for me, in terms of what was available to Joe at the time of picking this guy, is why I feel the way I do. I want you to bear with me because I've been feeling like crap the last couple of days, and you probably hear it in my voice. And I've been having to do a lot of editing to come back and finish this video. But I want to make sure I got it out before tomorrow's episode of Hang or Hang Out. I'm gonna have Joe Blewett with me, and I want to get these grades out now, so I don't get you know what I'm saying. I don't want to say manipulated, but like I don't want to get moved to change my grades because Joe's gonna go over it himself and kind of give us his thought process. So I had to get this out before that episode kicks in. But moving on, we're in round. I think we're still in round 5. Now it's pick 177, and the New York Jets pick their first defensive player. CFL Rookie of the Year Quantez Stiggers, a defensive back. My first thought on this pick was who? I really had no idea who this kid was, and then my second thought about this kid coming from the CFL was, isn't the CFL a professional organization? How does that happen? How is he going from one professional organization to the next? Should he be a free agent? I digress. I still don't understand it, so I'm not gonna pretend like I do. But the truth is, I get it. I understand why Joe D went this route. I mean, Stiggers is a versatile piece who you can see contributing in various roles within the secondary. His strengths, I gotta say, he's got great overall athletic ability. He's got elite speed. He's very solid in zone corner, a solid zone corner with great instincts, man. Good physicality as well when it comes to his tackling. Like he doesn't miss a lot of tackles. So I understand it in that sense. But then you look at some of his concerns, and he's not very agile, right? Not as fluid as you want your corners to be in his movements, especially when you want him to kind of mirror the wide receivers and to kind of stick to their hip and whatnot. Um, and I guess most importantly, he hasn't played 11 on 11 organized American football since high school, and his footwork seems erratic and sometimes unrefined. But I'm not going to judge these defensive coaches and what they see in this kid. I again will tell you that I feel Mahogany would have been a better pick there because he was still available at this point. Could have been a better allocation of resources, in my opinion. But with DJ Reed and MC2's contract situations kind of looming, this does make sense. When it comes to the defensive side of the football, man, I think the coaching staff is, well, they've proven. They've proven they are more than competent and they can be very, very effective in coaching on that side. So I'm not going to go ahead and pretend to know more as to why this move was made. I'm gonna give it a B minus. I'm gonna give it a B minus, and the reason is again because I understand the MC2 and DJ Reed situations, and this coaching staff has proven their ability to go ahead and coach defense. Defensive side of football, they've proven that to us. Not to mention, man, this guy did win CFL Rookie of the Year. He had 5 interceptions, I think it was. He can also play against grown men. That's proven. So, yeah, again, I think interior offensive lineman would have made a better choice. So for me, I'm going to give this one a B minus. All right, so I think that brings us to the final pick of this draft. Round 7, pick 257, Mr. Irrelevant. Mr. Irrelevant. The Jets conclude this draft by selecting Jalen Key. Look, I'm hoping he proves that he can impact this game despite his current position. Maybe he can be the defensive version of Brock Purdy. There's some good with this pick, like NFL caliber good. He's got good size. You love his size. He's got, I think, NFL caliber strength, right, for an NFL safety. Very natural awareness. Fluid movement. Again, you want that in your DBs to be able to kind of match and mirror wide receivers in coverage. Solid pass coverage skills. But top end speed, kind of non-existent. He plays too aggressively, and when he does so, he misses tackles, and I think we hate that. He kind of, and I guess in a sense, you look at him and you think, mm, kind of like a Whitehead type of replacement on the back end. Um, and he's not very consistent in run support either. He could use some work in that. You know what? It's Mr. Irrelevant. I gave this one a C. It's a safety, a position that we have been asking for a guy like Simmons potentially to fill that role. I know he doesn't compete to a Simmons, but it's a safety. You address his position. It's a position of need. It's the last pick of the freaking NFL draft. So you take a swing and you kind of hope, right, that it all works out. I'm gonna give it a C. I'm comfortable with giving this one a C. Ultimately, the Jets' draft strategy was kind of clear, right? They wanted to strengthen the offensive line. They wanted to add playmakers on offense and increase depth on defense. And honestly, with these picks, the Jets have addressed key areas of need and have brought in a mix of potential starters and development prospects with this draft. You can't really ask for more than that. It's going to be exciting, man. It's going to be exciting to see how these guys kind of come together, how they contribute. The upcoming season can't get here fast enough. Overall, I think the Jets went into this draft with little to no holes. Joe D did an incredible job this offseason, kind of like putting this roster together. But somehow, some way, I still feel like after this draft, the Jets got better, man. That he made this roster better. He didn't reach. He was calculative. He was intentional. Great character guys were added to this roster too. He brought in a lot of guys who, again, have leading experience on their teams. Just good, wholesome character guys, man. Oh, and they had some of these guys have some really awesome origin stories. Some of these guys are not here just for themselves, man. They're here for who they are and what they represent to their families and their communities. And to me, man, those are powerful motivators. And just powerful motivators. This draft was an A. It was an A. The draft was an A. I mean, for crying out loud, Joe got a third rounder next year for one of our fourths this year. It's an A draft. It's an A draft. Yeah. Oh. But he also did trade away Jonathan Franklin Myers for a slice of pizza and a side order of Rocky Mountain oysters. There's that part. I amend my grade. The grade is an A minus to a B plus. A minus to a B plus. That JFM one, you gotta take a hit for that one. So I'm let's be real. I'm a Jets fan, so bias is going to allow me to round that up. So we're gonna give the Jets an A minus for this year's draft. Not bad. Not bad at all. I think the New York Jets did enough to be better. I think the New York Jets added components and pieces that's going to allow, hopefully, our boy Aaron Rodgers to stay upright, get the ball out of his hands quickly to playmakers. And you've got a running back room right now that is deep and young. I think when it comes to the running back room, you really got to look at it as a young man's freaking game. I love the fact that these guys are young. And the running back, I think we'll have one of the youngest running back rooms after this draft. And we know Breece Hall's a top 3 guy in the NFL at the running back position. B. Allen looks like he could be a huge compliment to that. But I don't know, man. 20 years old. Some of the tape that I've watched from this kid is so explosive. It's very exciting stuff. So yeah, the New York Jets got better. This draft class, I think it was an A minus. I think you look at these individual players and they complement their rooms very, very well. Joe D, again, came in this draft with a purpose, and I think he achieved that purpose. I don't agree with some of the trade backs. I don't agree with the JFM situation. I get it. I understand the whys. I just think when you're in a win now situation, those are premium assets to help you win now, vice in the future. But that's one thing you can say about JD. Even though he's on the hot seat, he wasn't willing to mortgage the future for the next guy that comes along to have to go ahead and figure things out. He was very calculative and intelligent and, again, intentional of getting better this year and still thinking about the future. Chef JD cooked. He cooked. R.I.P. to the playoff drought. Go Jets.
Congratulations, brother. Hey.